You have said you're the funniest guy from Nazareth since Jesus.
I didn't say this.
You didn't say that?
Directly. No, I'm saying that this is one of my opening jokes that me and Jesus both are from the same city.
Right, but you're funnier than he is.
Yeah, I'm much a little
Do you
bit
think
funny.
Jesus is funny?
No,
Does he
man, he
think,
wasn't
we
funny.
think maybe he was funny back in the day?
I didn't thought
He had
about
big
it actually.
crowds, you know, he had a lot of crowds. Maybe he got laughs.
You know, it's very bothering me that people abroad, they believe outside Nazareth, they believe that only Jesus from Nazareth can do miracles.
Uh-huh.
Because this is not a Jesus thing. This is Nazareth thing.
Ah.
Everybody who born in Nazareth can do miracles. The only difference that Jesus has much better PR. So maybe when and do you think walking on water is so special? Yeah, we have marathon on water in Nazareth.
Right.
My mother, she understood nothing, but she loved you because you're. To be honest.
I understand.
No. So tell me, what were your influences as a child?
Oh.
Like, did you guys watch TV?
Yeah.
You know, we watched TV, but we didn't watch, the series that I'm watching now.
Right.
Because when I was young, we just watched the cartoon. There was just one channel.
Right, that's always very interesting to me, is that you only have one channel, so there's very limited choices.
Yeah, of course. In comedy world, let's say that I'm a little bit influenced by Egyptian culture in the beginning, and also the Lebanese culture.
Because they had big TV production, and so they were able to kind of export their programming to here.
Exactly. There is, for example, from Lebanon, Ziad al-Rahbani, he's a legend. And while I was really young, I was listening to him because he didn't have any show online. It's just on the radio or it's audio shows.
Right.
And I fall in love with him.
Right.
And also there's Doreid Laham, he's from Syria, that he did all the shows, all the theater shows that Muhammad al-Maghut wrote it, that I think he's one of the he's really brilliant in writing comedy in his own way.
I wanted to ask you what you were like in school. Were you kind of a class clown?
I think yeah, but I wasn't trying to make my friends in the class laugh. I wanted that my teacher will laugh, and this was all the time my competition between me and myself. And I didn't knew that what I'm doing it was stand up, because the first time I knew what stand up it was when I was 19 years old.
Oh, so it took a while to even discover what stand-up was.
Exactly, yeah.
Right,
But after
right.
that, when I said, oh, so what I did in school, between the classes, it was stand-up, but I didn't know that this part of this format, that what I was doing in the class, it's really stand-up.
That must have been an amazing revelation when you realized that your whole life you've been doing stand-up and there was actually a job you could have.
Exactly, it was really hard.
Yes,
I will
of
tell you
course.
on that. Because my parents, when I finished high school, I knew that I wanted to be a comedian.
Yes.
Honestly, this is my dream, but I was so afraid because it was really important for me to let my parents be proud of me, and it's very hard for me was to let my mother and my father understood what it's stand-up comedy. They have no fucking idea about what it's all about, stand-up comedy about.
How do you feel about Adi cursing like that? Is that okay with you?
no, I'm بسبت كلمة.
No.
It's
It's okay. We used to.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Keep going. So tell me how you actually learned English.
Through Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
George Carlin and Lenny Bruce
Right.
and Richard Pryor and
Justin Bieber.
not Justin Bieber. It was every time when I first saw George Carlin and Dave Chappelle, I fall in love with Dave Chappelle, and I understood nothing of what he was saying. Honestly, and a few word from here and word from here, and I was really bad just in English. I was really good in mathematics and physics, but I was really bad in English. But
Not very bad.
and it's
Bad.
my mother, yeah. It was insane for me that I really studied English through stand-up, and
I think that's kind of brilliant in a way, and I love the idea that you watched Dave Chappelle without even knowing what he was saying. You thought he was funny.
Yeah.
Because I find the same thing when I find comedians in other. I've watched you. I don't understand everything you're saying, and a lot of the comedians in the Middle East are obviously speaking different languages than mine, and I could tell. you could just feel it. You know, it's like an
Yeah,
instinct that
exactly.
somebody's funny even if you don't get what they're saying. You know, so
Exactly.
that's great. And so then you had an encounter with Dave Chappelle at some point, didn't you?
Yeah, before 2 years. It
Yeah,
was
tell me
into-
about that.
Whoa, man, this is. If you can ask my producer later, I told him 8 years ago. I swear to God, I told him one day I will meet Dave Chappelle, and they all laugh about me. And I didn't did my first stand-up show. So when I went, I wrote for him 13 pages to Dave Chappelle, very emotional. I felt like Stan to Eminem, kind of. So I wrote it, and I wrote, I wrote all my 10 years, what I was really feeling through all my bad gigs. I did, I quit stand-up comedy more than 50 times.
Right.
And every time I said, I will not do stand-up again, I was going back and watched his interviews and his specials, and I don't know why I really wanted to continue doing stand-up. But when I met Dave, it was insane for me, man. It's you know, for other comedians in the whole world, you know, it's regular to meet Dave Chappelle or meet, I don't know, these legends. But I'm coming from here, man. I know it's very hard. And even now, when I'm talking to you, and I'm still thinking about the idea that you coming here to film me, it's insane for me.
Well, it's my honor, as I told you. It's my honor to talk to you. So thank you for allowing us to talk to you.
Thank you.
So did Dave Chappelle respond?
Yeah. What
tell us-
happens
tell us
that
what happened.
when I met Dave Chappelle, I was so shaking, and there were 6 comedians from the Arab world, and they told us that we're gonna meet him. No, before this, when his show ends, I ran to the stage and started, Dave. I was crying, Dave. I didn't understand. And my manager, he's telling me, my friend, he say, Adi, Exhibit, the rapper, he was beside me. I say, hi, Dave, you changed my life. When I told him you changed my life, he looked at me. He came and said, what do you say, boy? I say, you changed my life on the personal level, and I started to cry. And then he went backstage. The day after, they told me that I will meet him.
Wow.
So we were 6 comedians, and all the 6 comedians, they are very celebrities in the Arab world. I'm a new kid that coming. So all of them were standing, respectful, waiting, and I was so crazy running in the. So when he entered, he shook the first one, and they told us that I cannot give him anything. So I put my letter inside my jacket, and when he came, he shook the first one, and he looked at me and said, I remember you, boy. And he came, I started to cry. I say, what do you say, boy? I say, you changed my life on the personal level. You have no idea. And then I wanted to give him, it's like I want to give him a drug, you know. So I gave him, I said, listen, man, I know that I cannot give it to you, but it's very important for me. And I said, what is it? I said, this is a letter. He said, for me? I said, where are you from, boy? I said, Palestine. He said, Palestine. And he hugged me. And before 7 months, there's a comedian that is my friend and my close friend, Mo Amr, and he's helping me a lot. He came. We had a tour in the West Bank, and the first thing when he came, he hugged me and said, Dave, he's telling you that he almost cried when he read the letter.
Wow.
So I was shocked, man, because...
Well, those are the things that you remember all your life, and that they're life-changing events. I mean, you're on the road, and then you have the opportunity to meet somebody, a hero, and he gives you the encouragement to keep going. Because you said a minute ago that you quit stand-up a number of times. And tell me why. You just frustrated? You didn't think what was going wrong that made you? Besides the fact that it must have been extremely difficult to do stand-up here, what made you continue to think about quitting?
First of all, we don't have comedy clubs here.
Right.
Was very hard for me when I started doing comedy in 2005. My first show, I did it in a small coffee shop in Nazareth, and then I was doing wherever I can do stand-up, and I was doing something like, I don't know, in 2000, for example, and 9, I did something like 100 shows everywhere. Wherever there's 20, 30 people, I was going, of course, by free and trying my material. But when it was a lot of shows, man, when I finished, a lot of people, they were boom, they were screaming, get off on the stage.
Right.
And it was really hard for me because I quit, because I was studying accounting and economics for 3 years.
Yes.
And after I read a quote of Bruce Lee, that changed my life. It's called, if you want to succeed in plan A, you shouldn't have plan B.
Right.
And my accounting and economics was plan B. And I say, okay, I will finish accounting and economics to my parents, and then I want to go to do comedy. And and after I saw this quote, I quit without telling my parents. And I went, paid money. I worked 3 months in the summer. It was very hot as a waiter. 2 shifts in the night from 6 a.m. until 2 a.m. to have this money to go to the university to study theater. So after I make this decision and I was going to do stand-up, and it was really bad, I went back home here and my parents were wait for me to know what the audience react. And I was lying to them. I say, oh, it was an amazing show, but it was really bad. People screamed on me, and people say that I shouldn't be on stage. So it was really hard. I can tell you maybe 10 stories about what happens with me after the show, but I was hiding this from my parents, from my friends, because just me, I really believe that I'm gonna make it, and I really, although that there is no stand-up scene before.
Right, you have no reason to really think that except your own heart. Your heart is telling you must go this way. You don't even want to have a plan B, which I really admire a lot of comedians, and myself included. When parents are always concerned about our fates, and they go, "What are you going to fall back on? What are you going to do if that doesn't work out?" And I always said, "I'm not going to do. I have no backup plan."
Exactly.
It's like I'm either going to succeed or fail, and I think you need to have that kind of drive here in Palestine to succeed in stand-up, where there's no stand-up scene whatsoever. You began the stand-up scene essentially.
It's very important for me. There was stand-up, but nobody did a special.
Yes.
Everybody did 15 minutes
Yes.
maximum, 30 minutes,
Yes.
or they did sketches, on
Yes.
stage. Like Hannah, he's my
Yes.
mentor. They were doing sketches, and part of them they did stand-up, but just
Yes.
for 30 minutes.
Right.
In 2011, when I decided, okay, I want to do special, nobody. I don't think that, I don't know if in the Arab world they already did special of stand-up in Arabic. I said, okay, I want to do it. And my mother and my father, and my parents, they were really shocked because I rent an auditorium of 800 seats. And
You rented with your own money.
Yeah, of course, man.
That you earned from working.
Yeah. From working as a waiter.
Working as a waiter, yes.
Yeah, and when I did the show, my parents and my friends all the time were nervous if I'm gonna make it, and no, I didn't had any director or stuff. Just me. I'm writing this punchlines for I don't know 4 or 5 months intensively. So when they came, there were 1,250 people. And there were 400 extra chairs, and my mother, she were freaking out because she afraid in the beginning. She afraid that I will not make it it will be full booked, sold out. But when she saw the 1,200, she scared. She was afraid much more because she okay, what if I'll do bad in this show? And one of the shows that I cannot forget it, when my parents. In 2009, they came to Haifa. I had show with seven comedians, and I was say, okay, I want to bring my parents to see the show, and I will do great show. And Hanna, my mentor, he did his part, and I was after him, and he did an amazing. I was so jealous of him. And when he finished the show, I went, and it was really bad, man. And I watched my parents through the crowd. It's 300 people. And I almost cried on stage because I made the first 3-4 punchlines and none of them worked. And I said, what I'm doing in my life, me and myself. So it was really hard times to do it. And because of that, I tried to really quit stand-up.
But you kept coming back.
Yeah, just because of Dave Chappelle, man.
Right, Dave Chappelle was like your muse.
Yeah, man. He's my spiritual guide.
Your spiritual guide, right.
In stand-up comedy.
Yeah, well, he's a good one. He's a good one for a spiritual guide.
Yeah,
he's amazing. He made some very, very personal, anti-commercial choices.
Yeah.
But maintained his integrity.
Yeah, man.
He maintained his integrity. You need a bracelet or something that says WWD.
What does mean?
Instead of what would Jesus do? Have you ever seen that? You need what would Dave do?
Okay, no, I didn't know. But it's very interesting.
They have these little bracelets that say, what would Jesus do? So you kind of make
What
your
is Dave
decisions.
do? Yeah.
But what would Dave do is how you kind of conducted
I
your
will tell
life.
you something. Now I'm working on my first special in English, and I'm super sure that, I don't know, maybe in 2 years, maybe 3, I'm gonna do a special for Netflix, and that's what I promised my father. But every punchline that I'm writing in English, honestly, the only thing that make me know if it works or not, I'm imagining, and sounds crazy a little bit, but I was imagining if I tell this punchline to Dave Chappelle, what his reaction will be.
Right.
And most of them say, fuck it, man, this is bullshit.
You know what? I don't think that's crazy at all. I
Yeah.
think it's really a good kind of internal dialogue to have.
Yeah, all the
Again,
time,
he's
man.
in your head. It's
Yeah.
like, what would he do? What would
Yeah,
he say?
exactly. But what I'm aiming now, before I want to get respect from Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna meet him.
Yes.
It's not about I'm a huge fan of them, but now what I'm looking for is to get respect from
Yes.
these comedians that I really respected in my
Well, you
whole
know,
life.
my guess is that you already have his respect. Who you are, what you are, how you have fought to get where you are. That's the kind of thing I would imagine he would respect right off the bat. So I think you already have his respect, and that's you should put that in your head also. What made you decide that you wanted to remain here in Palestine to do the stand-up? A lot of Palestinian, there are other Palestinian comedians, but they found their fame and fortune by leaving here.
Yeah.
What was the driving force that made you decide I want to do it here? I want to establish it here.
First of all, it's a really complicated answer, but I will try to make clear. It's really important for me to put the Palestinian stand-up comedy on the planet,
Right.
on the map, and to be very clear. But also, it's very important for me when I met before 6 years when my first time I worked with the Freedom Theater in Jenin, and I was just for 4 years or 5 years making comedy, and I said, okay, there's a lot of talented guys. I wasn't that famous then. And I said, okay, why we don't have here really a comedy club? Why we don't have workshops even? And I said that we don't have, there's other Palestinian comedians that live in the States, but why we don't have really, so I said to myself, no, and that's what I said, I need extra 4 or 5 years. And it's really insane, man, because I thought about it, man, 5 years ago. I said, okay, man, when I will be professional stand-up comedian, start reading not a lot of books, 2 books about stand-up comedy. And I suggested to my friend that he opened the new theater. I said, okay, let's do a workshop. And it was very emotional for me that in the same day that we have a workshop with Ali Khalifa, 20 people came.
Wow.
And my problem is like this, Larry.
Yes.
That there is NGOs, honestly, I thought about it 2 weeks ago. There is NGOs that protecting houses of water and electricity and stuff, but there's no NGOs of protecting dreams, man.
Yes.
There's a lot of dreams that they were demolished with the houses. And,
Right.
and that's what I'm thinking of, because even me, I'm now 30 years old, and when I'm thinking about it, a lot of other guys, man, that I met in the West Bank, not in the West Bank, also here, there's a lot of ghettos here,
Right.
including here, kind of, but they gave up on their dreams.
Yeah.
And that's make me really sad, because I'm really sure that 3 guys that we're gonna meet in the workshop, I really believe that they can be ambassadors of the stand-up.
Yes.
I think from each place should be ambassador of stand-up comedy, and because nobody did it before, I said, okay, why we don't do it? And when I called my friend, say, okay, let's open a comedy club. I say, huh? Say, man, it's very easy. Just bring me. It's comedy club, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
And it's very important for me, because listen, if I just made it by myself, and I know I'll made it. I know I'll make it in 3, 4 years, and I don't even want to be a little bit crazy, but my dream that in 10 years or 15 years, I want to be one of the greatest 100 comedians of all time. That sounds stupid and sound insane that I'm coming from you. There is a lot of other maybe I'll die before I make it, But what I really believe that I need to have this passion.
Yeah.
And I know if I made it, so all the people here, they're gonna take me as their idol.
Yes.
Still now, there is a lot of young people that take me as an, and it's with big success, it's big responsibility
Yes.
becoming on me. So
Well, but you've taken that on yourself. A lot of guys who, you have a lot of the same ambitions that other stand-ups have, but you also have this other grander ambition even, which is even more than you, bigger than your career, which is trying to bring this here
Exactly,
and give
man.
people an outlet. You started these workshops and you immediately got response and you tapped into something. People had a need. People here who feel oppressed, who feel confused, who feel uncertain about the future, you gave them an outlet to express themselves.
Exactly.
And that is really super important. And that's even bigger than your career in a way, you know?
That's it. That's much more bigger than my
Yeah.
career. Wherever I will reach it, okay, wherever I will be in 10 years as a stand-up comedian, I'll be so satisfied in 10 years if I really will see Larry 20 comedians, you know, in the next 10 years, 20 comedians from every place
Yeah.
that I worked with them, and I don't want to get the credit. I'm not thinking about the credit, but if I will say, oh, in 10 years when I'll be 40, I say, oh, this superstar, I worked with him and I brought him to that's what makes me satisfied, because then each one of the comedians can tell the story of his village and his conditions and where he living, and you know.
Only you can do that. Only you can enable people to talk about things like that here, which is amazing.
man.
Here's a thought for you. This is something to visualize. There's a kid right now who wants to meet you the way you wanted to meet Dave Chappelle. You know what I mean? That you are a Dave Chappelle to somebody here in Palestine, somewhere in Nazareth, somewhere in
I see it,
Palestine.
man. I see
There's
it.
a kid who's going, Adi, I need to meet Adi. I need to talk to Adi. I need to tell Adi that I want to be a comedian. You know, that person exists, and you're the Dave Chappelle for that person.
I'll tell you one crazy story about
Please.
it. Listen, man, there's a lot of crazy stories that happened to me recently, but this is the most insane, and I told my mother about it. I will translate it now after I
No,
finish.
don't worry. I understand.
Give it a for the whole thing. Okay, good.
What happens, man? 3 weeks, no, 1 month ago, I got an inbox on Facebook, and somebody sending me, say, listen, how are you, Adi? You don't know me, and there's my ايش يعني بنت اخوي؟ My niece.
Okay.
My niece, she's in a hospital.
Okay.
She were in a coma for 3 months. You know, and she woke up just before 4 months, and the first thing that she said, where is Adi? And I never met her.
Wow.
And I never لما رحت عليها بالمستشفى هاي تذكر لما رحت على تذكر. She said, I will let you see the message. Where is Adi? And she never saw me live. She just saw a few things on YouTube and stuff. And the first thing, she had nightmares, and the only thing she said, where is Adi? And when I called her, her aunt, she was started crying. She said, what she telling me, where is Adi? She said that in her last dream, before she wake up, I was next to her. I say, everything is gonna be all right. And I start to cry here, man. And I say, okay, where are you? I went there, man. And when I entered, man, they put on me something, I don't know, because her condition was really bad, man. And when I saw her, man, she started to cry. I start to cry of no reason, man. She's the first. So it's very emotional for me,
Yes.
and it's very. I left everything. I went straight to the hospital, and until before 2 days, we talked, me and her, you know, a little bit, and it's make me feel, man, really emotional, man, about it, because I all the time wanted to remind myself what Dave said. He said, I'm cool with failing as long as I know that there's people around me that love me unconditionally.
Yes.
And these the people, not just my parents and my friends, and I have friends wherever I went. I in the last 2 years I was in Amman, I have very close friends, and also in the West Bank and Ramallah. So it's very important for me, every step that I'm making in my career, and it's get bigger and bigger, I keep reminding myself, don't forget where you came from, and don't forget the people that you came from, and don't forget that what you want 5 years ago, to really to build a stand-up scene here in Palestine.
Yes.
So I'm trying, you know, to have this balance between two of the.
Well, you said, you said a minute ago about the NGOs, and they take care of the water and they take care of the electricity, but they don't take care of the dreams.
Of course, man.
You're taking care of the dreams.
That's what
Look at your niece. You're in her dreams, you know, and she's healing herself as a result of you appearing in her dreams.
Man,
I mean, that's, How do you put a price on that? You know?
There's no price.
There's no
for
price.
That, man. This
Yeah,
business,
that's an amazing story. That's an incredible story. Now, so tell me, how are the crowds? How are the crowds here in this area? When you perform stand-up, are the crowds good? Are they, are they different show to show?
They're all good, but they're different.
They're different.
They're different, of course, man. It depends where you're doing the show. Even here in Nazareth,
Yes.
it's very diversity. There's people that are really conservative.
Yes.
That I know that a lot of punchline that I cannot make it here because and I'm not messing with the religion. I respect religion and I don't. But maybe, for example, if I have sexual, and I'm not doing because just it's about sexual, so it's
Right.
gonna be funny. It's very clever and very complicated.
Yeah, you're
I know
trying-
if Louis C.K. There's a few jokes that I say, Louis C.K. will take it, man. I know. Yeah, but it's very hard.
Yeah.
But I'm trying my material. When I write, okay, I know that between 15 years old and 30 or 35, they will laugh on it.
Yeah.
But when I knew that a lot of parents come, so I was going to my mother and my father and trying their material, and my mother said, "This is really bad joke." You know? She was killing me, you know.
Right.
So it's very important for me. And when I go to a stage and see, I don't know the audience. I look, if I see that there's conservative people, I know exactly then what I should do and what I shouldn't do. It's not that
Yeah.
I'm afraid. I just
Yeah.
respect
Yeah.
where I'm going.
Well, you
and I
also have
respect
such
the
you
people.
have such mastery, obviously, over your material.
Yeah.
Like a musician has mastery over his music, that you could choose what songs to play.
Yeah, man, it's in the
basically.
spot actually.
Yeah.
It's when I because I knew all the time when I go on stage I know what I'm gonna start and what I'm gonna finish.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the best punchlines and in the middle. So it's lately it's really easy for me just because I have all the material in my mind and I say okay, no, I see that there's a lot of conservative people and I really respect all people from all background. So I know okay, maybe I know that this punchline is very funny for them, but there's people here that will not love it.
Yes.
And I can't be rebellious, say fuck it, I wanna do it. If you wanna take it or leave it. But I know I respect all the
Yeah.
people that come in because in our situation here,
Yeah.
they're coming here, they're paying money to come to see me.
Yeah.
So I need to entertain them
You're
properly.
also trying to keep the community together.
Yeah, of course.
You're not trying to alienate the community or divide the community. You're trying to bring people together. Your comedy is about unifying people, not dividing people.
Exactly.
You talked about Lenny Bruce and George Carlin also.
Yeah.
Where did you even get exposed to Lenny Bruce?
It was in 2009, 2010, and I wasn't good in English then. But all the comedians, George Carlin understood, but Lenny Bruce I didn't actually.
Right.
So
You
because
know
it's
that
also
Lenny
black
Bruce,
and white.
Lenny Bruce
and-
discovered George Carlin.
Yeah, I've heard about it, but
Yes.
I really loved in the beginning George Carlin. But after that, I heard all the great comedians. They're mentioning Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce. Say, who is Lenny Bruce? So I entered to see him and his politics punchlines and how he make it. I'm not trying to work in his style, but I respect him because he
Yes.
faced a lot of problems during
Yes.
his career. And the same with George Carlin.
Yeah, Lenny Bruce pushed boundaries, and he's one of the few, maybe the only American comedian who's ever really truly paid a price for what he said on stage. He was arrested,
Exactly.
his career was ruined.
And also George Carlin, but not
George
the same.
Carlin also, but he eventually came
the
back
7
and had
words, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
He actually transcended that. But Lenny Bruce really succumbed to the court trials. They broke him. They basically broke him in America.
Because of that, all the greatest comedians are mentioning him today. He pays his dues for his success.
Yes, he paid for his success, exactly. I'm curious about the comedy of the oppressor versus the comedy of the oppressed.
Oh.
Do you have thoughts about that? I mean, do you consider yourself oppressed here? And, there's comedy of the oppressor who looks down on the oppressed, and there's
You mean Israeli comedians?
Yes. Is there? Tell me that difference. Tell me, the sensibilities that are different between the Israeli comedians and the Palestinian comedians. Go ahead. Yeah.
I have seen the Israeli. First, they're really smart in their jokes. They're really smart, but most 99% of the material that I've shown, it's very mainstream. It's very mainstream because and maybe I don't know, maybe the activists and they're really against the occupation, against the whole idea of how I can say it. A few people, few comedians, I didn't met them, but I've heard about them that
Yes.
they're really with us, we, the Palestinians, and they believe in our cause
Right.
and believe in. I didn't watch a lot of comedy, but the other comedy that I watched online, it's a really mainstream show,
Yes.
mainstream material, and they don't even, you know, they're just talking about the stereotypes of the Arabs
Yes,
and
yes.
the we're stupid and it's not funny for me when they're
Right.
doing the mainstream. It's really funny, but I think you cannot compare between my comedy and not my comedy, the Palestinian comedy.
Yes,
or
yes.
because when I'm doing stand-up comedy, I'm talking about myself.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, okay, when I go to the checkpoint and when I go to, and all the time I'm saying I cannot compare my suffering
Yes.
to the suffering of the people that lives in Jenin refugee camp.
Right,
And
right.
the same thing, the people that lives in Jenin refugee camp that cannot compare their suffering to Gaza.
Yeah.
And the people in Gaza they cannot compare to the people in Africa.
I mean, but your comedy is about something very important. You're trying to illuminate your experience as an oppressed people, not just about yourself. You're looking at all these things that you have to deal with, like checkpoints and things like that, from a Palestinian point of view. That's a very unique point of view, and that point of view should be more mainstream. People need to hear that more, you know, and that's why I'm hoping that your message gets spread here a little bit.
I'm not trying to be like most of the Arab comedians. With all the respect, I'm trying to be very personal in my
Yes,
stand-up.
yes.
And that's what I took from Richard Pryor, man. Richard
Yes.
Pryor, he because in the same show, I almost cried.
Yes.
And at the same time, I'm laughing.
Well,
so.
the personal, I mean, what I think is that your personal experience is, and this is true of Richard Pryor, and this is true of great comedians, in my opinion, your personal experience is more universal.
Exactly.
You know, I think the more generic and the more general comedians are, the less relatable it is. I think anybody who would hear your stand-up, no matter what culture they're from, would relate to it on that personal level. You're sharing personal emotions, you're sharing personal themes. That's very, very important, and that transcends, even though you're talking about Palestinian culture and yourself and your relationship to it, it could be, I think people could hear it in Africa and places like that and relate to it. Because once you get out on stage, it's all about the audience reaction. You know, if the material is not strong, you're gonna bomb.
Exactly.
You know, nobody wants to bomb.
Exactly.
What's your worst bombing experience?
You, man, I have a lot, man. Wow, man. Wow, man, I think there's 10 cases. I tell you one that in my mind. One of the shows that I did in Jaffa, it was, I don't know, 8 years ago, I think, man. It was really insane. So there's a DJ show for the students and music, trance music. And I know somebody that know the producer of the show. I said, listen, man, I want to do 5 minutes. Give me just 5 minutes to do stand-up. I was putting myself wherever I can, even if in the cemetery. But I was trying to put myself, I say, okay, man, in the middle of a trance show, the music cut, and now we having 5 minutes of the guy that is really funny, ladies and gentlemen, Ali Khalifa. I went, man, off stage and said, okay, man, this is my moment. This was big crowd. Then it's 400 people.
Yeah.
I start the first punchline, man. I said, in the bedna trance, we want to trance, all of them, man. And somebody throws something on me on the stage, a bottle of, I don't know. And I continue to do the first punchline. And when I'm thinking about it now, I felt like Eminem when he was doing this punchline, man. It's very insane. But when I went off stage, it was really insane because all the time I thought what I'm gonna say to my parents because they're waiting to my reaction of this show. When I went there, I was going to the parking. I didn't have car in that time. I took my friend's car, and I saw, man, 3 drunk girls. Somebody opened the window, say, yo, say, did you get the guy we're on the stage? They say, you fucked up our night, yeah, and something like this, yeah, man. And I start to cry, man. I went to the car. After I went to the car, I said, what I'm doing? And I start asking myself, because the most important thing myself is to make my parents proud of me and that they were raised me right.
Yes.
Because I'm not like 99% of the people here. Not because I'm now doing good in stand-up, because what I choose, it's not like most of the people. So it was very important for me to make my parents, and the first thing, to make them proud of what I am. And I knew it from 9 years ago. Even if I bumped, I went down a lot, watched, I don't know, whatever, Dave or George Carlin, and I knew, man, that one day I will be what I am today. And I'm still, until today, I know that I'm one of 10 of Dave Chappelle as a stand-up comedian. And my motivation that how next year I'm gonna be 1.5 of Dave Chappelle as a stand-up comedian. And that's the only thing that I'm really trying to be.
Well, remember that Dave Chappelle has bombed,
Yeah,
Jerry
man,
Seinfeld
yeah.
has bombed. When I first came out to California, Richard Pryor was at the Comedy Store trying out his material for that great concert movie, which you've probably seen. His concert movie.
Which one? Which one?
The first Richard Pryor live at the Sunset
Yeah,
Strip.
yeah, that's
It's one of the
exactly,
greatest comedy things of all time.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing him at the Comedy Store trying out the material
And
that
it didn't work, yeah.
he would bomb. He would bomb night after night after night, but he kept going, of course.
One of the shows, Larry, I did it, and in the middle of the show, they start playing cards, man.
Oh,
Man, honestly, I swear to God, I was doing stand-up. There's were dinner and stuff. I don't know if it were in Ramallah or Nablus. I forgot. But man, after that, now we have Ali Khalifa. This was 6 years ago, and I started doing the punchlines, and nobody. And suddenly, man, I look in the corner. I said, the people really just playing cards
Oh,
and
my
shit. And yeah, man, there is a lot of.
I've heard of people bombing. I never heard of the audience
Man, in
starting
the
to play
middle of the
cards.
shade, they fucking open it and start doing honestly.
Gee.
And I look at this, and yeah, man, there is a lot of situations.
Let's talk about censorship for a minute. Let's talk about Palestinian censorship. Let's talk about Israeli censorship, and let's talk about self-censorship. Like the difference between those three things. Do you ever feel censorship from the Palestinian authorities in any way? Do you feel a censorship from the Israeli authorities, or is most of your censorship your own? Right.
And I don't work with Israel. I don't do stand-up in Hebrew. I do
Right.
just in Arabic and English.
Right.
So the censorship, but I know if I will do stand-up in Hebrew, I know that I will have censorship, but I don't want to do stand-up in Hebrew. And
So just avoiding Hebrew was a way to avoid the Israeli censorship.
I didn't thought a lot about the censorship,
Yeah.
the Israeli censorship, because I don't want to. No, I'm a Palestinian stand-up comedian. I want to do stand-up in Arabic and in English because I have the ability to start doing English. So I didn't thinking about the Israeli censorship in a way. But I know if I will do stand-up in Hebrew, of course I'm gonna have censorship. Of course, there's nobody will let me say what I'm gonna say in stand-up in Hebrew, because we as a Palestinians that live here, we are 1.7 million people that live here. So even when you talk socially, and even if you want to talk personally, it's politics.
Yes.
It's politics. Our whole
just being a
situation.
Palestinian comedian
Exactly.
is a political act.
But in the same time, I'm trying to talk, as you told me, about emotions, because when I'm talking about emotions, about what I'm feeling, it's also contain the politics and also has the social. But the Palestinian censorship, yeah, we have, man. We have to be honest. We have. Now, I don't do stand-up about religion, but you cannot talk about sex, you cannot talk about religion, and all the taboos.
Yes.
You cannot talk about it.
Yes.
And you know what, man? There's a lot of people maybe in the I respect, they want to say what they want to say, but I'm really trying to respect not the authorities,
Right.
respect the people.
Yes.
Because I know of people coming and they're really conservative, man. I cannot, man. If they say, no, forget that's what I believe. I'm liberal and that. No, man. I need to respect them because what I want to get respect back. I don't want to satisfy that 10%. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The 10% of all the people that are really liberal, and they're influenced by the comedy. When they talk about, a lot of people ask me, Adi, why you don't stand up about put just from 18 and above and to do it. I don't want to do it, because again, if I want to put myself in front of just me and the 10 people that educated and no, man, what I'm trying to do, I want to entertain people, and I'm not entertaining people. I say the cheap laugh.
Right, exactly.
No, I want them also to think and also have this debate about what I'm saying on stage.
Right.
And
That's
it's very
important.
important.
Yeah.
But in the same time, when I have 1 hour and a half show, it's really important for me that 30% of the show to be politics, 60% of the show will be social, because I think before the occupation we need to fight ourselves from ourselves. We had a lot of problems inside the Palestinian community. It's not about just the occupation. It's not about the checkpoint. It's not about the airport.
It's not just about the external things. It's about the internal
women, right,
things.
man. The women are really depressed, man, in the Arab world in general, and also so we have a lot of problems, not just politics, not just about being on the separated wall. We have a lot of separated wall between we and ourselves. We need to break it before we think how we're gonna break the real separated wall.
That's a goal. That's a goal that you have.
So it's very important for me that it's and you know, I cannot put the cause of the Palestine on my back.
Of course.
And in the same time, I don't love, man, that I see a lot of artists, not just in stand-up comedy, they use the Palestinian cause, you know, to make money of this. And I don't respect it at all. So I'm trying to do comedy. And I don't want anybody in the whole world to come say, Adi, listen, you talk about this because you want it. No, man. I'm talking about myself. And it's very sensitive for me. Every punchline, even if I had good punchline, and I know that it's funny, I say, no, man, I will not do it, because I don't want anybody from the audience come to say, Adi, you say this punchline, so you taking advantage of the case or on the situation in Palestine, or no, man, I'm trying to be really real with myself and to be myself.
And you're also a very loving person. I could tell you're a very loving person. You have a very loving family, and I'm going to talk to you guys in a minute. I will talk to you, I promise. But there's also a lot of hate. Israeli hate, Palestinian hate, Palestinians to Israelis. It's like, how do you, first of all, what's your personal experience of hate in this society? And explain how what you do is sort of breaking that down.
Again, I want to understand.
Okay, so there's a lot of, you're a loving person, you have come from a loving family, but we all know, at least from a Western standpoint, we see a lot of hate between Israelis and Palestinians, and even within those societies themselves, there's internal conflicts, you know. But your comedy is looking, it seems to me, to break down those barriers, to reach people and show that hate really is not going to be constructive. Hate is not going to get us out of our situation. And I wondered if you just could talk about that a little bit, about hate versus love in comedy. You know, a lot of American comedians really come from an angry place. You know, you're not angry. You know, you manage to make your points and be very powerful without being angry. So I'm just wondering how you sort of balance that, you know?
I believe in love, man. And I don't want to be cliche, man. I hate these sins of cliches. And even a lot of people stabbed me in my back in the last 10 years in my career. Even managers or people that I worked with, man.
That makes you a true stand-up comedian, by the way.
What?
When managers stab you in the back, that means you're a real stand-up comedian.
Exactly, man. So
That's the side.
I had really tough times with a lot of people. And in the same time, I say, I fucking hate this guy. Why we ate from the same, you know, we ate together, man. Plate, man. It's very, very... It destroyed me from inside, man. Why you do this, man? We talked about our dreams together, and I told you that I'm gonna make it one day. So, but after that, man, I say, no, man, you know what? I don't hate him. For this guy, it's a few guys that really hurt me so much, man. And I say, I don't want to hate them. I don't want to hate them. Don't want to talk about it. I don't want ايش يعني اضيع waste. I don't want to waste energy on this. No. Let's concentrate on this my wall, and I have this 9 project in my mind that I will make my parents proud. That's all the energy that I'm gonna make. Whole show, I took it from this point that I'm living inside of the cemetery, and on the only window my mother wrote "Life is beautiful," so it's making me. It's really no, she didn't, but it was. I did it in Arabic. It's much funnier, man.
You know what you have in common with Richard Pryor also, and I think with great comedy in general, is subject matter 10 degrees this way, and you're talking about tragedy. but 10
Exactly.
degrees this way and it becomes comedy. And you're able to sort of just move it enough
Exactly.
so that the emotion's still there, but you have found humor in a situation that many people would think is tragic. And that's, again, a gift that you're able to do that you have that perception.
Man, this is
That
يعني ايش يعني
sensibility.
شهادة ايش يعني شهادة منك.
This is certificate.
Yeah man. to say, man.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Now, we were at the Al Bashir show yesterday.
Bashir show.
Yes,
Yeah
we
man,
were-
he's an amazing guy.
And there were two writers there, and they came up to me and they said they're working on a sitcom with you.
Which one? Yeah, I'm working on a sitcom.
Yeah. They told me.
Muhannad, he worked. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, Muhannad,
yes,
Muhannad.
that's right. That's right.
Muhannad is one of my best friends in Amman.
Great
actually.
guy.
He's a great guy, man.
I loved him, and we hung out. And
Yeah.
he told me that he said, "What else? Who else are you going to meet?" I said, "I'm meeting Adi." He said, "Oh, we're working on a sitcom." So what's that about?
That's it. I had after I watched Louis.
Yeah.
And also Seinfeld.
Yeah.
You know, and يما ساينفيلد هذا من اهم مسلسلات بالتاريخ. هذا الزلمه كتب اول 5 سيزونز كتب كان واحد من الكتاب الرئيسيه فيهم. She has no idea who Seinfeld is.
You mentioned your parents, your brother. You mentioned your family being super supportive of you, and
Not in the beginning.
yes. Well, tell me about that, and then I want to start talking to your mother and your brother.
You know, when I came to my parents, I told them the first time that I want to do stand-up comedian. They have no fucking idea what is stand-up comedy all about, and they didn't say, "Okay, yeah, let's go." My mother had a little bit problem with this because she wanted the safe way. She wanted me, you know, to be an accountant, and because I was studying accounting and economics, and I was so good in physics and mathematics, so it was very easy to go to the safe beach, you know. And but it was very important for me to and it was really hard, man. The first 3-4 years, 5 years, it took me a while until I reached really any quotation success.
Right,
And
right.
that when she's suddenly proud that he's my son, that come your son we had show. I don't know. You must tell them.
Yeah. So okay, good. That's good. Let's talk to your mom and your brother. Now, first of all, I was told that you guys are way funnier than him. Is that true?
Yeah. Man, she's not very. She's the funniest guy.
So even though your whole family was funny.
My family, yes.
Yes. So when you were a little girl, did you laugh a lot in your family? Was that something laughter always existed in your family?
يعني لما كنت لما كنت صغير كان
She says, I understand.
I understand. Not
They're
very-
jumping on you. It's also very sweet that you were a kindergarten teacher, so you were
Yes.
around little children. I'm sure there was lots of laughter and joy in the
make fun
classroom.
with the kids,
Yes.
the children. بس يعني هذا كله بقولش انه انا كنت حابه انه عادي يكون ستاند اب كوميدي
But that doesn't mean that I accept that Adi will be a comedian.
Uh-huh.
In the beginning, not now.
لانه هو ولد شاطر كان بالمدرسه وتعلم 2 مراقب الحسابات 3 2 خلينا نقول مراقب حسابات بتفوق يعني بامتياز والشهادات عند امي موجودات يعني لسه مطبوبات.
Because he was at school, he was one of the best kids in school in accountants and physics.
A good student.
Yeah.
انا بحب انها شهادته تكون بالجيبه وبعدين يعمل ايش بده.
I just want him to have a certificate that says he can work and then he can do whatever he wants.
مزبوط يعني باسم يوسف دكتور.
بس هو عم
ضل
بسألك
يقولوا دكتور.
بس بسألك بنفع يساوي التنين بنفس الوقت؟
بلاش لا ما هو بيعمل شهاده وبحطها على جنب بعدين ببلش يكمل الكاريره تبعته اللي هو بحبها. وهو لانه هو طموح ومثابر وفيش عنده حدود الا السما يعني بيقدر يعمل اشيين بيقدر.
Okay, so she's saying Bassem Youssef is Dr. Bassem Youssef. He's a doctor first. So he could have taken his certificate and keep it aside, do whatever you want, but at least you have it. And he's ambitious, so he could have done both and succeeded in both at the same time, if he wanted.
وانا بعد لسه عندي امل انه رايح يكمل عن جد لانه هو قال لي السنين هاي محفوظه إلي وانا برجع بكمل يعني كمال بيعمل يعني زي تقول
كمل الكورسات.
كورسات اللي عليه يعني انا بحب اقول لك املي انه بحب اقول
And
لك
she still hopes that he goes and finishes the accountant and becomes an
why
accountant.
not I liked it.
Yes.
Then we continue in stand-up comedy.
Of course. Tell me about yourself. Tell me what you do and
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm practical machine engineer.
Okay.
The-
So you got a degree.
Yeah.
So your mom likes you better?
Yeah, sure. It doesn't matter. It's not only about that I'm practical machine engineer, but she loves me. She knows that. She loves me more than anyone else. When we were together, I asked her like, who you likes more? She said, you, but don't tell anyone. Once I asked her when Adi was with us, so I asked her, tell us, Mom, who you love more? She said, both.
It's like every family has their own little in joke. You know what an in joke is?
بحكي انه النكت اللي كنا نطلع فيها بالهاي النكت اللي بتضحكنا احنا بالبيت بس بتضحكش لما تيجي
بس
تطلعها.
على قصده بتقدر تحطها بالتلفزيون هيك انا فهمت.
لا
He's saying that
تلفزيون بس مش ستاند اب.
Okay.
Exactly.
He's saying that the comedy that happens on the table can be put in a sitcom or in some comedy movie, but not on a stand-up, not on stage. Okay.
Well, I wouldn't put it past him. I think he's capable, possibly, of talking about that stuff and making
He
it a
actually
stand-up.
make me quit stand up. Not he told me that I shouldn't do
I
stand up.
told him twice to quit stand-up.
You did? Why?
Yeah, because I wasn't laugh about what he was writing at first. But let's talk about what he's writing now. When I'm driving alone, and I'm thinking about what he wrote, I start to laugh about what he wrote. That it didn't happen before. So that's what tell me and show me that Adi is much better stand-up
He's
comedian.
grown.
Yeah. Last time that I told him to quit, it was 6-7 years ago.
6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, that's also a testament to you that you stuck it out, because obviously you had pressure, internal pressure, external pressure, society pressure to not do what you're doing, but you stuck with it.
Yeah.
And you had it, like you said, you had a dream, and you had Dave in your head, and you kept going forward. And also remember that a successful stand-up comedian makes a lot more money than an economist.
That's very important. عم بحكي شغله انه كمان ستاند اب كوميديان ناجح كثير بيعمل مصاري اكثر مما من محاسب.
It doesn't matter.
I will tell you one thing.
Yes, please.
I will tell you one thing,
Yes.
and that's the first time that I'm facing my parents about it.
وكل مرة بكون يعني براود فيه أكثر من اللي قبلها. بس أنا دايما بقول لأولادي ولا اللي بعرفهن للي بحبهن يعني حتى لو بكون حدودك السما خلي إجرك على الأرض. يعني مهم.
And now I'm even more proud, but I always tell my kids and anyone that I know that no matter how far you go and get successful, stay on the ground.
But
Right,
it's really
right.
problem if I had a show on the moon.
Right. You'd be floating. That'd be difficult, yes. But you might be the first comedian to do a show on the moon. That would be something
would
also.
love to
Yeah,
do
that would be good. You're all so sweet and loving, and you laugh so easily. I mean, will you adopt me? Would you adopt me? I mean, I would love to be in your family. I would love to be in your family. Have you ever gotten into trouble? Have you ever gotten into trouble because of something you said on stage? Have you ever gotten any kind of trouble at all?
Yeah, man, yeah.
Like what?
Once I did a show, especially it was the first show. It was very big in Haifa. I did it, and I was talking about Jesus, and I was because I'm from Jesus city. So one of the jokes I say, "إيش يعني زعران?"
Douchebags.
What again? So I thought about it. How was the Zoran in 2,000 years? So I imitating the situation between Jesus and two guys. And man, the crowd went crazy. It was 2,000 people, man. Wow. They went crazy. It was me and other 7 comedians. They went crazy. But the day after, they start calling my house and they call me and they treat me, why are you talking about Jesus? I say, look, I believe in God, man. And I think, I really believe in this. A lot of people may ask me, why you do stand up about Christians and Jesus. I say, listen, man, my mother, she's the most holy thing in my life. And I make fun of what we happens. And I think that Jesus, if he sees me doing stand up about it, he will laugh because he knows that I believe in him. And, you know, and I'm not going to the church, every Sunday, but I really believe in God. And I believe that all religions are true. do
Yeah.
somehow. But I'm not trying to get into it. But I really believe, and we have a lot of conversations, me and him, in the night. But it's very sensitive.
Yes,
this
yes,
issue.
yes. First of all, I think we should put the AC back on. Let's put the AC back on. Stories really happen. Yes, yes. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, very quickly, just the beginning, and we got to talk more about it. But originally, Larry David just wanted to do, like going to a Chinese restaurant and waiting for a table, or just like very simple premises, no plot.
What he actually did in his next stage.
Sorry. Yes. Thank you.
I was talking with Ali. I think it amplified Kurt's idea. Okay. It's pushing up the show a little bit so that we have plenty of time to get across the board. Right. It seems like going in will be pretty easy.